Hello, this is Team Panda for the CPE final project. We did a heating and cooling system. Hello, my name is Shavil Singh.
I'm Hanul.
I am JianJun Zhou.
And I'm Gabriela Peral.
For our project description, we basically used a STM board and a temp sensor. Our temp sensor will measure the temperature of the environment. We'll connect a Raspberry Pi and LEDs to the STM to log data to see if the data gets too high or too low. We also have a fan connected that changes speeds depending on the temperature. Then we'll also use UART to display the output from the Raspberry Pi on a computer. And it'll also save the data onto the Raspberry Pi. If the temp gets too high, the fans will turn on for a minute, but if the temp gets too low, we have LEDs representing a heater turning on. Depending on how the temperature is, we have three settings represented by three LEDs: blue for cold, green for room temperature, and red for hot. This is the block diagram for our project. Everything's connected to the STM. We have the temp sensor, heaters, fan, and the three LEDs. And then we have the Raspberry Pi connected to the computer with UART.
This is the finite state machine. Well, once we determine the temp, we have an output for the blue, green, or red LED depending on what the temperature is. If the temperature is low, we have three heater levels, and we print it through the UART on the Raspberry Pi, and we log the data. If the temp is high, we set the red LED high, and then we have the fan pulsing at three different levels, and we also print it through UART and log it with the Raspberry Pi. If the temp is in the average range, we set it to the green LED to high, and we also log data with the Raspberry Pi and print it through the UART. This is my code for the heater. Basically saying if the temperature is below 50, we have three different levels for the heater, depending which are represented through LEDs. So at level 3, all the pins are set, and level 2, there's 2 pins set, and then level 1, there's 1 pin set. For the fan, it's very similar. If the temperature is greater than 70 in Fahrenheit, we have 3 if statements with while loops. So while the temperature is in that range of of depending on fan level 1, 2, or 3, we will have the fan pulse at a quarter second or half a second or 1 second depending on the level. We'll also send a message through the UART and print it on the Raspberry Pi if at that rate as well on the output. And we also do calculate Fahrenheit, Celsius, all that from the temperature sensor.
For the LEDs, as mentioned before, we have three different ones: blue, green, and red for cold, room temperature, and hot. And so if the temperature is less than 50 degrees Fahrenheit, then only the blue will come on, symbolizing that it's cold. If it's greater than or equal to 50 degrees or less than 70 degrees, then the green room temperature light will turn on. And if the temperature is greater than or equal to 70 degrees, then only the red will turn on, symbolizing that it is hot.
So for the results, um, we uh, we are hard to measure in the real cool and hot environment. So we use the potentiometer to measure the temperature in a low or hot condition. So when the temperature is low, we will see the blue LED is light, and then when the temperature is less than 15 Fahrenheit, bigger than 25, the heater level is 1. We see one red LED is light, and then heater when the temperature is less than 25 Fahrenheit and bigger than yellow, then the heater is level 2. We see 2 red LED is light, and then when the temperature is less than yellow Fahrenheit, and then we can see 3 red LED is light. So you can see on the pictures. And then when the temperature is less than 17 Fahrenheit, bigger than the 15 Fahrenheit, we will only see the green LED is light. And the heater in the fan is turned off. So when the temperature is high, we can see the red LED on the left part is light, and then the heater is off. And from the picture, we can see the fan is turned on. Because of the voltage range, we cannot see the change of the speed for the fan. Okay.
So this is the UART for the Raspberry Pi output. As you can see in the picture on the right, we have a computer remote connected into the Raspberry Pi to showing the output from it. And the picture on the left is the data that got saved to the Raspberry Pi from when we ran it this time. So for this picture, it's fan level 3, the temperature is hot. And then the next picture, we're in the room temp, and the fan level is level 2. And then for the third picture, this is our cold temp, and the fan level is level 1. One thing we tried to do is display the Raspberry Pi output onto an LCD screen. We couldn't get that to finish. We got the backlight working, but we couldn't figure out the code or how to display it out to the screen, so we just used a laptop as our display.
So in conclusion, we met all our goals. We got the fan, the heater, the LEDs working, the Raspberry Pi. The only bad part was that we couldn't figure out the LCD screen, as mentioned before, and we couldn't control the fan speed due to the limited voltage that we had here.
That's it. Thank you for looking at our presentation.